Alright guys, this is the big race coming up for the bomber cars. The Bomber 100, 5,000 additional purse, LS engine giveaway. We're going to take that car and put it in this race. Which brings us to today. We have a motor to put in the car, we have the transmission back from the shop. There's a lot of work to do, and the clock starts right now. Okay, so this is the engine that I blew up that was in the car originally. It's a GM 602 crate motor. The timing chain went and it got re-ringed and bearinged. A couple new valves put in, new timing chain. Piece it back together. It's been approved by the tech guys and sealed by the track. So we're just going to do a few things, swap the fuel pump, swap out the distributor, put our flex plate on, get it all prepared. The plan is to assemble the transmission and the engine outside of the car and then hopefully just slide it in as one unit. That's the game plan. Okay, so that bolt in the side, all it's doing is holding up this pin inside there that the mechanical fuel pump rests on. So this is the wrong pump for this motor. We're going to be putting this guy on. Okay, I got 5/8 socket here. Just going to pull all these out so that we're able to spin the engine when the time comes. I'm going to pull the starter off too to give us a bit of clearance, and we have to install the flex plate on there, so this might just be getting in the way. And it's the wrong starter. I got a new mini starter to go on there. Well, that's not very nice. Okay, so like I was saying before, this is the GM 602 crate motor that was in the car when it blew up. The timing chain let go, bent a couple valves. So it ended up, we got re-ringed and bearinged, replaced a couple valves, put a new timing chain on, slapped it back together, and called her good. We got these yellow or these blue tabs here. These are the track seals. So I sent the guy all the parts list. I sent it down there so he could scope it, do whatever he wants to do. They approved it, they sealed it, so now it is technically a sealed crate engine once again. Next thing I want to do, I think leave the distributor in there for now. Next thing we're going to do is install this flex plate. Kind of press it on with the bolts, or get a rubber mallet or something there, or just hit it. So there, we're lined up. I'll grab the bolts, put some Loctite on them. Put that in there. I think it's on the right way. Yes. Okay, what size is it? Okay, so I'm just gonna go around and snug these up. A little star pattern. So I do really want to torque these properly, but I don't have a 3/8 drive torque wrench, and the 1/2 inch doesn't fit in between the nut and there. So We're doing custom torque settings right now, which is just tight as it can. Okay, so we got our fuel pump swapped out with the proper one. We have our flex plate installed, the starter's removed. I think we're ready for the fun stuff, which is mating that transmission with the engine, and then we can slide everything as one piece. Okay, we got our transmission here ready to mount up. We're just gonna slide our torque converter on like so. Make sure there it is. There, now that's all the way in there. I'm hoping we can just kind of line it up as best we can. Easy now. Put the other side on there. It's gonna be something like that, boys and girls. Look at that. Look at it. Let's get a couple bolts threaded in there. So we're just gonna snug these up. I'll maybe start, go side to side a bit. Transmission is on there. I think one last little kind of prep thing I want to do before we put it in there. I guess I could do it after. I just have to plug this hole. Got a nice pipe fitting here for it that doesn't get used. And on the transmission, we ended up tapping this vent line. So I'm going to put a pipe fitting in there with a barbed end on it so I can hook up the hose, run it to a catch can, and hopefully we have no leaks, no issues, no problems. See if we can get these tightened. It might be a double wrench kind of show here. I'm just gonna snug this one up, and then we'll go around to this side and snug this one up. Okay, torque converter is bolted up. We have our vent tube fitting put in. We have our fuel pump swapped. We have this hole plugged. We're ready to drop this thing in the car. We'll put the starter in after. Actually, I do want to test the starter. I have. And kind of bolt it up, and it's going to be easier to check the clearance with the flex plate with it out of the car. So that's the next thing. So I'm messing with the starter here, and the issue I'm having is the clearance, and it's getting stuck, and like once the starter goes out, it's getting stuck. So I loosened it off till it releases, and I made my own custom big ass shim to slide in there. I know it's probably not right, but it's gonna work. And it's still stuck. So, that's not good. It is staying out really long. We're gonna make this a future solution, because it's gonna try and rain here pretty quick. I want to get that inside the car. And we're wasting too much time messing with this starter, so let's just get her done, you see? There, how about that? That'll work, I think. Let's take a distributor out. That. Get any gunk in there. Okay. Let's continue. I think if I go down a little bit. Alright, we're almost there, you guys. So, now we should be able to just slowly go down, fit it into those motor mount brackets. Maybe go back a hair. That's not slowly. Okay, come on, get in it. Look at that. That's one. So, this should give me the clearance I need to be able to reinstall the transmission mount on the rear. Hopefully that gives me enough room. I had this wood in there, but it was hitting on stuff, so. Alright, guys. So, everything's kind of mocked up in place. So, we have an engine in the car, a transmission in the car. All the bolts are loose still. I just wanted to line everything up before I tighten anything down. Then I think next we're gonna work on installing our power steering pump. There's some brackets that go on the front of the engine here. We beat the rain, it's just starting to sprinkle here. I'm just working on putting this power steering pump bracket on, but for some reason it's in two pieces, so I'm just gonna mount it up here, weld it, do a couple tack welds, I'll pull it off and weld it nice and solid, and then we'll be able to put our power steering pump on. Bolt for here. So I need a nut, and I need another bolt for in there to hold that down tight. I'm gonna take this belt off, slide this guy over here. Hopefully it fits in there tight enough, in that groove and in that groove. Looks like it might be alright. Somewhat straight. This guy can slide back over top. Let's try this one instead. But it's got, I don't know, you guys. Okay, so I asked Google, and it said that this is an upgraded design. So since this one, it has some cracking in there, and it's probably been on there for 100 years. We're gonna try this one, and if it slips or has issues, we'll just throw the old one back on. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I was thinking, I guess there's nothing really stopping me from filling this transmission up with fluid. Oh yeah, forgot to put the dipstick tube in. So I got a little O-ring we'll put on in the end, then we'll put a dab of gasket maker just above the O-ring to help it seal. And then we can put fluid in it. That's next. Okay, so that worked pretty well. We have a dipstick tube. So I think I'm gonna wait till tomorrow just to fill it up. And I'll give that silicone a chance to dry. And I might need to get some more fluid. I'm not sure yet. So, making a lot of progress today. Okay, so I just want to siphon all the old fuel out of the tank here. It's been sitting for a long time, so it's pretty old. So I'm just going to shove a hose in there. Probably get some in my mouth. There we go. That's working. Okay, we got our hose going in there, siphoning out all the old fuel. Still tastes good. Not. Tastes like gas. I rinsed my mouth out. Just makes you stronger, right? This foam in here has been in here for, I don't know if we've ever changed it since my dad bought the car like 20 years ago, and it's not deteriorating. I don't know how, but we're gonna cross our fingers it makes it through another race, another year or whatever, and then maybe in the off season they'll put some new foam in there, or just leave it, because if it's not broke, don't fix it, I guess, right? Okay, I'm just getting ready to install this proportion valve, but I think I better get rid of the fucking rat turds in the seat first. Do a quick little vacuum, and then I'll put this bad boy in there. So, because the fittings in this valve are for a 3/8 line, I just have little adapters that let me thread the 1/4-inch brake line into it. So, got a little bracket here already for it, since I already had one in the car before. So we're just going to bolt that in and bleed the system. Fuel line on. Overflow. I guess I could set the rad in there and see what happens. Okay, let's just get this rad kind of set in there. I guess I could bolt it down, put some hoses on. I'm not gonna put the top hose on until I do this. This is for the temperature gauge. So it is very close to that hose, but it's gonna be easier to mess with this without the hose on there. But I can get this rad bolted in there kind of crudely. Okay, I think we're gonna try and put this lower rad hose on. If it lets me do it on nicely. Okay, so our alternator wire is gonna go connect to there. This guy is gonna run across and just go into that hole there. So we'll feed it underneath. I think we'll hook up our alternator wire first. Oh, no way. Okay, well, it kind of throws a wrench in the plans here. I stripped this post. I was all excited. I guess, you know what? While we're here. You know, no. Fuck it. Let's go to bed. I'm gonna say I could put this in here. That's not even the right size. What happened? Okay, so maybe that's what we're doing now, is this is gonna go in there. Alright. Time to look at some old pictures and maybe it's going in there now. I don't know, guys. It's bedtime. That's going to be a wrap for day one. I got quite a bit done. I'm feeling good about things. You got the motor in, the transmission in, the brake propulsion valve hooked up, the radiator's in. I was getting ready to put the alternator and the temperature gauge in, and I stripped the post for the alternator. So I'm going to see if I can replace it or tap it or figure something out. And then also, where my temperature gauge sensor went, the hole's way bigger now for some reason. I don't know what happened there. I'm gonna look at some pictures, do a little cross-referencing from how it looked in the car before, and we'll go from there. But a lot of progress for day one. I'm trying to do as much as I can this weekend, so tomorrow hopefully we'll have another good day, because once Monday comes we'll be back to work and I'll only have a few hours after work to get some stuff done. But a lot of progress. I'm happy. See you tomorrow. Okay, good morning. Day two. I was looking at a few things last night, and so originally on this, where my temperature gauge was, there's like a brass adapter in there, which I can't find. So I think I'm going to pull this plug out. It would actually be better, because then it's not right under this hose. So we're going to take this plug out, put this plug in, put our temperature gauge down there, and the alternator, I think I can get a post, and I'll try and pull it apart and put a new post in it. So I think that's going to be the first things I do today. Then I can put the upper rad hose on, put the fan shroud in, and maybe work on cleaning the carburetor, making sure it's ready to go. Put the studs in. Always had to be some kind of setback, but we got it out of the car. We're gonna pull it apart, see if I can fix it. I got a post to put in there, so it's going too well. Shit happens sometimes. Okay, let's see if we can pull this thing apart without wrecking anything. It should separate. Look at that. Just like so. So I may have made a little mistake here. This post is a little bit thinner and shorter, so unfortunately that's not going to work. These springs, where do they go? No idea. So those springs slide into this plastic block, and then the little carbon resistor things here, whatever they are, they go over top, and then you gotta slide something in there to hold it together while you assemble it back together. So that's the plan. We're gonna put the springs in this plastic block here, slide these pieces over top, put a piece of wire through to hold it in place, and put it back together. And then I'm just gonna retap this to a smaller size. I can't find a bolt or anything proper, so we're just gonna wasting too much time on this thing. So I took this out, but there's not enough room for this to go in there. So there goes that plan. So I'm gonna have to find the proper fitting for this guy. And this is gonna go up there. I'll put this pipe plug back in, I guess. And today's been a bit of a struggle. I got this fitting here to go inside as an adapter for our coolant temperature sensor, but I didn't think there's no seat on the bottom for it to stop. So this threads in and we got the right sizes, but it doesn't have anything to butt up against, so that's not going to work. But I did manage to find the proper fitting for our oil pressure gauge, so I can thread that in there. We'll get that done, then we can finish putting the distributor in. I started on it this morning, but then I decided I better deal with that before I do anything else. So that's where we're at right now. We're gonna put some sealant on there, thread that in. I can hook it up, and then we'll get going on the distributor, and then maybe either the carburetor, probably clean the carburetor, put it on, and get started on the exhaust, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm gonna run the starter that I have, because it seemed to be hanging up on the flex plate. My buddy has one he says he can lend me, but then when I gotta give it back, you gotta unbolt the header and drop the exhaust on that side, because the oil pan kicks out and there's just no room. So I don't know what to do about that yet. But let's figure out this oil pressure gauge, and I guess I'll be looking for one of these again. Let's get this guy down in there. Okay. For the distributor, I spun the engine over and just kind of held your finger in there until you feel air pushing out a cylinder number 1 spark plug hole, and then keep going until you reach 0 on your timing mark down there, and that should be top dead center, cylinder number 1. And next there's a oil pump shaft down in there, so we're just gonna put a screwdriver in there, align it to 11 and 5 o'clock, and that should hopefully just drop right in there and start without too much dicking around. So that went in, but we're way off. Okay, took a little bit of pulling it out and just adjusting the pump slot inside and putting it back down, but now we're pointing at cylinder number 1. We've got our number 1 mark here, so we can put our clamp on and lock her down. So I guess I had it like at 11:30. It wasn't quite 11 o'clock, so That's why I was having a bit of issues, but we're good to go now. So that should fire up. We're obviously gonna have to set our timing and everything, but that should be where we want it to get it to fire. And then usually you run about 32, 34 degrees timing. And we'll line up number 1 with number 1, like so. Our tack wire, which just slides up in here somewhere. Okay. Beautiful. So we can get rid of these guys. Okay. We have carb studs. That needs to be tight in there. That's just, better double check everything, is there's just loose stuff everywhere. I wonder. Nah, that ain't gonna work. Okay, that's not so bad. Just a little bit on the ends here. Get this out of there. So we have a big insulator gasket we're gonna run. And that's gonna help keep the heat out of the carb. And since we're running a crate motor, we have to run a restrictor plate. Like that. And then we have to run another gasket. This one's a little beat up, so I'll have to probably look for a new one, but for the time being. And I'm hoping with that thick gasket I'm gonna have enough. Whoa. I'm hoping I'm gonna have enough threads for this carburetor. That ain't gonna fly. So that's not gonna work. All right, worth a shot. So that plan has been foiled. Kind of covers the holes a bit. Should almost trim that out. Restricting our airflow there. Okay, now we can put on our restrictor plate and gaskets. And then our carburetor. So I ended up not pulling the carburetor apart at all. I just cleaned it up real nice. And unless it starts running shitty, then we'll have to pull the bowls off and take a look inside. But for now, I'm hoping I can just put some fresh fuel through it and it's gonna run nice. Goes on like that. We got a little gasket that goes around the lip, I think. And I put the air cleaner on my pickup, so I'm gonna have to go steal it back and put the original one back on there so we have an air cleaner. So for right now, let's just try and keep it clean in there. Done. So in this box we have brake booster hose we could hook up. I may have made a mistake, you guys. Okay, just made a little bit of a boo-boo here. So this hole in the top is where our brake booster is gonna go to. So I shouldn't have filled that hole, but it's good. We can still get at it. This isn't the right size. Okay, that was easy. We like the easy ones. So, a couple things to do. Starter, exhaust, brakes, tires, safety stuff. Or these belts are expired, this window net's expired, so I gotta replace those. Fill the tank with fuel, air cleaner. I think I'm gonna dig out my old air cleaner. Oh, we could hook up the throttle linkage now too. I have that. Throttle linkage. This is just gonna, I guess it goes under. Oh, maybe I have to bend this tube. I have to turn it so it's up a bit, but I guess we could put this in there so we kind of know where we want it to be. Yeah, we're just gonna have to adjust our brake booster hose so it's clearing the throttle. But that's an easy fix. Or something like that. Perfect. So we can hook it up on the inside. Just to our throttle cable there. Have to find another nut, I guess. Okay, I'm hoping that I didn't make another little boo-boo here in my order of madness. I have to this is for my yep. This is for my throttle return spring. It's just a little bracket I made up. And it hooks on down below there. But I'm hoping if I just move this guy out of the way. Okay. Ouch. We have throttle. We have distributor. We have brake power. I'm definitely going to need to clean that up a bit better. Clean up these rotors. Bleed the rear brakes. I don't think this battery. Oh, it came unplugged now. But I had this trickle charging all yesterday and all night, and it's still. Holy shit. But if I plug it in, it goes right to save again. Save. Yes, and I know these are backwards, but the connection's backwards in here, so I think it's gonna need a new battery, but if I have to, I'll take it out of that guy. The parts pickup. Pull the wheels off so we can clean our rotors. We're gonna have to at least bleed the rear brakes. The front should be okay. And it'd be nice to look in there anyway, so. Those wheels I can use. I cannot use these right side wheels. They're a 1-inch backspace, and they have since been deemed no longer legal. So minimum 2-inch backspace. I think I have a couple spares laying around. It might be pretty ugly, but matches the rest of the car. So, hell, we're doing pretty good. We might even have time to do a little bit of painting and body work. Clean her up, make her pretty. For this exhaust here, when I put the headers on, I was running manifolds for a long time. I put this section of pipe in here and I got them to flare the ends, but they flared the ends way too big. And I had goop in there and clamps and whatever, and it's still leaking. So I got a couple new ends here, which fit nice and snug on there. So what I'm gonna do is just cut this over flared piece off and weld a new piece on, and that'll be good for the exhaust, and the clamp should hold it good and no leaks, and it's gonna be a lot better than trying to, like, it's just way too big and it's all dented and whatever now. So this is gonna fit nice, it'll clamp better, no leaks. It's gonna save a lot of headaches. So I'm gonna cut these off now, and I think I'll bring them up with me to the race car shop when I go to work tomorrow, just because the welder there, I seem to have better luck with welding, and they turn out a lot nicer than with what I've been using here. I don't know, just the settings or what it is, but it is a bit different style, different model, whatever. So that's the plan. I'm going to cut these off, weld some new ends on there, get a couple clamps. That's going to be the exhaust. I got to just clean up the surface here. It's pretty rusty. I'm not even going to worry about the rest of it for now. Doesn't have to look pretty to go fast. So that's going to be that. And then after I get those cut off, let's pull the wheels off and we'll clean up the brakes. The rotors are pretty rusty, so I want to get those cleaned up. And I'm still I gotta put my air cleaner on there. Perfect. Perfect. just go like that, weld her on, good as new. Okay, so I can bring those up with me tomorrow. Love it. Okay, so I think the rest of the day I'm gonna focus on some shop cleanup. I got tools spread out everywhere. At a little bit of a standstill. I gotta hopefully get the right die to rethread that alternator post tomorrow, or a longer bolt. I'll maybe take it apart and fix it that way, I don't know. So I'm waiting on that. I gotta research a few parts, see if I can find the thermostat, or not the thermostat, see if I can find the temperature gauge, the right fitting that I need. What else? I'm gonna bring the exhaust up with me tomorrow while I go to work. After work, I'll weld it up, hopefully get my alternator fixed, and maybe I'll pick up some fresh fuel after. I still gotta have some dinner, do some grocery shopping, get ready for the work week. But after work tomorrow, start again. A little bit disappointing of a day, didn't get quite as much done as I wanted to. It's kind of just felt like I was screwing around all day, but hopefully I have a better one tomorrow. Okay, so I just got off work. I'm just in the race car shop here, getting ready to weld up this exhaust. We got our flanges there to weld on. I'm gonna try and fix my alternator. Already got it a little bit too hot right there and burnt the hole through, but that's okay, we'll just weld her back up. You're just gonna try and spread out the welds around it, so I'm not just putting heat in one place all the time. Working out kind of good. This is the ugly part here where I blasted through. I'm just trying to do like a little bit at a time because it gets hot so quick. So that's one done. It's not super pretty, but I was just trying to do a section, kind of rotate it so I didn't blow another hole through it. And there's some stuff in there. So I think I'm just gonna blow some air inside of here and see if I feel any air coming out. I guess if I really wanted some assurance, I could get a butt connector and put it over top. That way, I don't know, if it does come loose, at least it's hanging on there, but I think it's going to be fine. So let's see if we can get the second one a little bit nicer. Okay, so our second one is welded up. Does it look any better? That's debatable. I did poke a little hole in this side again. But on the inside it looks like we got some penetration all the way around. I didn't feel any air coming through. I put the air hose in there and just kind of felt around. I didn't feel anything. So I think we're gonna call it good. Might not be the best, but it is one piece instead of two now. Okay, we're back at home, and guys, we are in luck. I have the best friends a guy can ask for. Get yourself some car buddies. So I was down at the car shop. I talked to Gary, and he said, I got an alternator on the shelf. Use that for the weekend. Put it in your car. I want to see you win this thing. So we got an alternator to go on. I've been looking for a new post for this thing, and the only one I found so far is on eBay for about 35 bucks, but it won't be here till a week or two after the race, so that doesn't do us much good. Also, guys, we found the fitting for the coolant temp sensor, so we can finally put this on, hook up our sensor, put our upper rad hose on, put our fan shroud on.
Coming?
The fan shroud. Just gonna go over top like that. We can finally put our upper rad hose on. Tomorrow I could put the header on. This side goes in pretty easy if I remember, but the passenger side is pretty tight just because your starter's there. The control arm's moved over. The oil pan kicks out that way. So that side's a little more difficult, but we could get, the exhaust hooked up hopefully. Tomorrow I really want to do the brakes. I'm gonna take our wheel here. We'll get them cleaned up before we do the bleeding. Tomorrow we'll bleed all the brakes and get some fresh fuel. Fill it up with water. We're almost ready to fire this thing up. But it's late. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. See you tomorrow. Okay. Tuesday. Back from work. I figured out the starter problem. It was never shims. It was the wiring. So, here's what we're talking about. So I've had this jumper wire going from the post to the little solenoid thing here. And apparently Google's telling me that it just stays energized in there too long because magnets, or I don't know, something I don't really understand, but or maybe it's transferring power. But that's why the starter's not retracting fast enough, and that's why it's getting hung up, because it's just staying out too long. It's not actually binding or anything. I'll obviously check the clearance and of the teeth. But so what I'm doing, I've fed a wire through here. I'm going to pull a wire. We have our switch, and it goes down to the starter relay. So I just have to run a wire from this wire over to our starter solenoid on that little post, and it should be fixed. And no more starter problems, hopefully. So let's get this done before we put our headers on, because there's not going to be any room in there once we do. We got our wire poking through here, and we get tape. Alright. Nice. Okay, so we got that on there. It's gonna follow this guy around. Probably put some zippies or something on there, and then we'll wrap it. Okay, I might actually start on this side just to give ourselves a little confidence boost. Get one side in there. It's gonna go like that. Get my bolts ready. This side should be good. Okay, just a little boo-boo, guys. We're getting a little hung up in there, and we're starting to mush some threads. So I stopped. I'm just gonna retap this hole, make sure it's nice and we don't wreck anything in there. So I will tap this. I got a new bolt with some nice threads. I think I was just in there a bit crooked maybe, so I'll tap it, new threads, and then we'll put it back together. So we're gonna take this valve cover off to get our yeah, so I have to unbolt the starter. I'll just set it on top of the oil pan, and then give me enough clearance hopefully to get this in there, because this ain't working like that. So hung up on shit. Well, I think my only option is to unbolt the upper control arm. I don't know what else to do. It doesn't want to go in there. There's rat poop in there. Nice. I knew this side was a pain, but I didn't think it was. I guess that's what I'm doing. We might be changing our caster a little bit. So I think it looks like there's room for one. Get her header bolted up, get her exhaust on. I'll double check those nuts. Although I'm pretty sure they're tight. Okay, so I've been trying to go back and look at the video. To me, it looks like I'm definitely missing a washer out of this rear bolt, but it looks like I'm missing one out of the front as well. But I've only found one extra washer, so I'm gonna take it apart and see if I can find the missing stuff. And after looking everywhere, I only found one washer, and I know it goes on this side where this side needed one, so we're gonna say that's how it is. That's how it's supposed to be. We have the header on, we have the control arm back together, we have the proper amount of washers on each side. I've been wire wheeling the brake rotors. I got the exhaust pipe put on the passenger side. So I'm pretty sure tomorrow, technically later today because it's almost 1 a.m. But we're gonna put some fluid in this thing. Transmission fluid, coolant, and I still gotta bleed the brakes, but tomorrow this thing's gonna run. Today, later today, whatever. It's late. See you tomorrow. It is Wednesday, my dudes. We're gonna get this car running today. We're gonna put some water in it, some transmission fluid, hook up a battery, put the plugs and wires in, see what happens. I'm gonna get up all these plugs to 0.35. I think that's kind of what's recommended for the HEI distributors. So, oh shoot, another crappy thing I forgot is now that we got the headers on, you need a shortened spark plug socket to be able to get them on there. So I might be finding an old 5/8 socket and cutting her down a little bit because I'm not sure if I have one. I might in the toolbox. I'll have to look. So we do have a little puddle under here of transmission fluid, even after I tighten those lines. So I may have to pull them out and maybe make some new lines. Maybe I don't know. Let's just continue putting our plugs in. Oh man. Okay, so I actually just Googled the plugs that I was putting in there that were in there, and they're like 5 steps colder than the ones that I was running previously. So I'm gonna take them all out, go get the proper plugs. A lot of going backwards. I was feeling super confident earlier today, but not so much anymore. Gotta go get the proper plugs, fix that transmission leak because it's getting worse. So hopefully it's just either reflaring the line, which would be nice, but I'm still gonna have to pull it out. It's tight in there, I don't wanna do it. Killed a giant spider that was super fast. That felt good. Okay, we're back again. It's a little bit later. I had to do a few things, but we got the plugs I wanna run. And I tried to get some fuel line, but they didn't have any. I'll try and pick that up tomorrow. But tomorrow I'm hoping that we can make it to practice somehow. I have looking good. So I'm thinking what the problem is I had the coolant hoses backwards on the transmission, because when I was under there looking at the leak, because I tightened it up as tight as I could get it and it was still leaking, but then when I pulled them off to try and like inspect the tube and everything, I was like, oh, the way these hoses are bent, they look like they should be going to the other fitting. So I swapped them, and then I followed the lines, and I was like, oh, the top, because it says the top should go to the top fitting, and then the bottom fitting on the cooling line should go to the bottom fitting. So I followed them, and I'm like, yep, they were fucking backwards. So I think that was the problem the whole time, because I was like, why would a rebuilt transmission start leaking and pissing and doing this? And so it didn't have to come out, but at least he looked it over and he didn't find anything wrong with it, so that's good. He put a different pump in. He had a spare pump laying around, so he just put it in there. So, I mean, honestly though, it was kind of easier to put the engine transmission together outside of the car anyway, so like it's not the end of the world. This is obviously the one I just dropped because it's... But I'm at the point of putting wires, filling the transmission, filling the radiator, and I could maybe go to practice tomorrow.
Awesome.
Bleed the brakes. Okay, so we have our little tool made up. It's just cut down on each side so it's shorter for these guys, because you can't get this one. It's not as bad, but this one down here, it's impossible to get at. So we just put that on there like so. We get our wrench. And this is how we do these spark plugs. So we're ready for wires. And then after we get the wires on, hopefully I'll check for leaks on that transmission in the morning. Okay, 1. 3. Put some zippies on, fill it with water, fill it with fluid, fire it up. Fire it up. Okay, I'm gonna try and do some timing, but since I have a timing light, it's pretty old school. I'm gonna set up this camera and try and do a live view so I can hold it at 4,000 RPM while I'm timing. It'll be It's kind of a pain doing shit by yourself, but we'll get her done. Okay, so some bad news. There's water. That's one of these head studs. There's like a snap-off bolt on it, and there's water leaking up through the threads. You can see that guy down there. Water's leaking up through the threads and dripping down. I could hear the sizzling on the header. So I might have to pull this side header off, try and get that bolt out. Or cut a slit in it, maybe tighten it, or just replace the head bolt, and maybe that's good enough. Okay, well shit. I'm gonna have to let the engine cool down a bit, pull this side exhaust off, try and get that snap off head bolt out, and drain the coolant, replace the head bolt. I was hoping to make practice today, but that's not gonna happen. Hopefully I can get this done tonight, maybe rent the track tomorrow. We were so close. Take our little grinder and go bzzz, and drill a little slit in there, and then put a screwdriver in there, and hopefully it's gonna come off. Not what I wanted to be doing. I'd rather be at practice right now, but hopefully we can still rent the track tomorrow. So we're gonna have to drain the water to below the level of the engine, so I'm just gonna drain it all. Put new water in, put another water in. It's got some goopy stuff in there I want to get rid of anyway, so it's all good. We're out. Look at that. Fuck yeah. Ooh. Okay, so I decided to go up to the track while we're waiting. So that has to cure for 24 hours at least. I was hoping to rent the track tomorrow, but I'm not sure if that's gonna happen. So in the meantime, we're gonna do a couple other things. I just got back from the track, picked up 4 brand new tires. I'm gonna have to, if I can make it to practice tomorrow, I'm gonna have to wear those in, 2 of them, because you're only allowed 2 stickers for this race. And if I show up with 4 brand new tires, there's gonna be some whining, unhappy people. So in the meantime, we're gonna put some brand new belts. Oh, sticker! Hell yeah. So new belts, those ones are expired. Even though they're still looking good shape, don't matter. So we've got new belts to put in, and we'll also replace the window net. And all our safety stuff will be up to date. My suit and helmet are good. So I think what I'm gonna try and do is tonight, I'm gonna put the belts in, put the new window net in. I could probably bolt up the exhaust and get everything ready. I'm just not gonna put any coolant or anything in. Actually, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get a heat gun and try and accelerate this cure time because I don't wanna wait 24 hours. I'm gonna try my best to, but we were talking about renting the track tomorrow around 6 p.m. because I didn't make it to practice today. I was talking to a couple buddies that want to go out as well. So hopefully we can rent the track tomorrow if I can. I don't know if the winch works, but I can use the backhoe or something to tug it on the trailer. And then just try not to start it until 6 when I'm at the track. Then we'll start it, time it, go do our little break-in session, scuff in a couple tires, and yeah, it's kind of super unfortunate, but so I'm just gonna get a heat gun and put a heat gun on there for a bit. Maybe turn the heat on in the shop and get it nice and warm in here, help it cure. In the meantime, I put this little mirror on. We'll put our belts in. This car is so much, it's so much more snug inside than the late model. The late model, we spent days fitting it to my body, so. But I drove this one for many years like this, the way it is, so I'll suck it up for a night or two. So let's put these belts in, shall we? I like these ones because they have the 2-inch strap around the shoulders that go over your Hans device, and then they go down to 3-inch at the bottom. Way nicer, way more comfortable. Okay, I got the belts all bolted up in there. There's actually lots of adjustment on the back and front side, so that's good. It's beautiful. So we have a window net, we have new belts, safety up to date. So after doing some pondering last night, I recall once the water started filling up, it didn't want to drain until I opened up this cap, and I think it's creating too much pressure because once I cracked this, it started flowing into the overflow tank. So I cut the little spring doohickey out of here and just riveted on the gasket. So now it should just sit on there like a cap and not be plugging this hole and be able to vent into air. And that could have been part of the reason it created too much pressure, and that's why it pushed water out that head bolt. But also there was no sealant on it. So the other dilemma I have is I'm supposed to wait 24 hours to let this thread sealant fully cure before I put fluid in and start it. We were hoping to rent the track, but I don't really want to risk it. But also, I bought 4 brand new tires and you're only allowed to run 2 of them. So I was hoping that I could go to practice and burn off 2 tires and, make them used. But I don't want to risk trying to start this thing and then it leaks through that thread sealant. And now I'm screwed for race day. So, oh yeah, also it's supposed to rain around 6 p.m. is when I would be able to start this car. So I don't know if we're going to even be able to rent the track, or maybe, I don't care. I just want to break it in. I don't know how well you'll scuff tires in the rain, but at least I'd be able to break in the new rings and get them seated and kind of, run it on the track for a little bit, make sure everything's good, wearing those new tires. Or if my buddies want to rent the track and they want to do it a bit earlier while it's nice, then I could bring 2 tires and just tell them to do a few laps for me with them and wear them in a bit. I have been using the heat gun on this thing. I'm scared to warp shit, but I mean, I'm only getting it to 30, 35 degrees. I think, let's see, what's left to do? I still gotta mount tires. I gotta mount the new tires. I gotta go up to the race car shop to do that. We're gonna make it. I don't want to try and get too impatient and try and run this thing tonight and then screw myself for race day. But I think we got our new belts in, we got our window net in, all our safety's done. So I actually ordered some longer carb studs so I could put that thick gasket in there. And that is gonna help with a little bit of performance. I think I'll run the heat gun for a little bit longer. Have a coffee. Put the header back on, put the exhaust back on. Do all my nut and bolt checks, make sure everything's ready to go. I did slightly overfill the transmission, so I think I'll just pull one of those cooler lines off and let some drain out. It's not too bad, but I'd sooner not have it too full. Let's see. My brakes are somewhat bled. I just gravity bled them. I don't have anyone that I don't think can crawl in there to pump the pedal right now. So it's been a long week, but we can't stop now. We're so close. We had it running. I mean, fuck. I do have a little heat gun just to periodically check kind of what we're running at here. So I think I'll just do that for a little bit. Right now I will focus on maybe draining a bit of that transmission fluid, put the header on, and whatever should only take, well, I say it shouldn't take too long. I can get everything lined up ready to go. Okay, our longer carb studs have arrived. That should give us enough threads be able to use that thick gasket. So while we got the heat on this guy, we're gonna do that. Since we're taking this carburetor off, I got a new piece of fuel line to replace that guy because it's pretty bulgy looking and whatever. So that's the plan. Okay, I didn't do a lot of filming of everything, but I got the exhaust on, we got the air cleaner for it, we got a battery in there, we got tires on it. I'm pretty well ready to try and load it on the trailer somehow. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. The winch doesn't work. Maybe with the backhoe somehow. It's gonna be, in fact, it's 3:30, I'm running out of time. It's about an hour. I gotta swap some tires because I gotta scuff in 2 of these guys and fill it with water once I get there. Timing, swap tires. Ay. I don't know if we're gonna have time. and it's kind of looking like it's gonna rain, so I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what to do, guys. I might be screwed here. Okay, so I got the car on the trailer. I had it all hooked up, ready to go to practice. Apparently it's pouring rain down there. And I still need to swap tires to scuff them in and do a break-in and whatever. And it's already late. I'll maybe get an hour. I don't really want to spend $300 for an hour at the track if I'm lucky. So fuck it. But I'm gonna go up to the race car shop, swap some tires. And we'll just have to do some trickery, throw some mud on two of them or something to make them look old and used, I guess. I don't know. Burnouts. We just do a couple burnouts, but I would like to. There's still some things I wanted to do to this car. Now it's kind of shitty because it was up on jack stands. I could have checked the differential fluid and my nut and bolt check. So what I'm going to do, I think, is in the morning, I'm going to pull this car out. We're going to take it back off the trailer. It was a pain getting it on there. I used the backhoe. I tried the winch, but it died. It didn't work. So I used the backhoe to pull it on, block the wheels. So in the morning, we're going to pull the car off. We're going to fill it with water, get it hot, check the timing. I'm going to get a better timing light tonight from the race car shop. And we're just going to have to do our engine break-in during practice, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is. Maybe I can spin the tires and I don't know what to do. Stressed out, it's getting late, but I'm at least gonna go down, get these tires done. Figure it out tomorrow, I guess. It's a mess in here. There's shit everywhere. Now there's a trailer in here too, on top of it, so. Fuck. Okay, so the timing light I grabbed wasn't working for some reason. It wasn't reading the RPMs. So I'm just gonna have to do it at the track, get someone to help me. And we're on the trailer. I still gotta load up some tools. I gave her a quick bath. There's only one thing left to do. Boom, son. I dipped it in oil accidentally, but I'll clean it off. It's fine. It looks great. Oh yeah. Yeah, so I'm probably not gonna have a ton of time to do filming at the track. It's gonna be busy and I got so much stuff to do. Do the tow, do the timing. Maybe bleed the brakes. We'll see how they are. I noticed there was a tight spot in my power steering, or like it's in the steering in general. It kind of gets stuck and then go. So I'm gonna check the fluid. I'm gonna make sure nothing's binding, and lots to do still, but run out of time. I gotta go. Wish me luck. Okay, so I've done no recording today. It's been an absolute thrash fest. I qualified 11th out of like 17 cars. I'm not very good, but I didn't have two of my brakes working, so we bled the brakes. Feels a lot better. Almost won the heat race. We're side by side at the finish line, so feeling better about the main. We're starting outside front row. Let's go.
Yeah, but almost got your hand.
Which is like I had the brake bias all the way forward. We're back in the shop. I just wanted to do a bit of a recap after the race. I didn't do a ton of filming, so Saturday morning I put 2 of the new tires on the rear and I did a few burnouts just to try and wear them in a bit, make them look used, and loaded it on the trailer, got to the track, set the timing. They did their safety inspection of the car and everything passed. It was all good. And as soon as I'm getting ready to go out for practice, they said, hey, the tech guy comes over and he says, hey, we got a problem. You can't run 4 brand new tires. And I said, well, I did burnouts. They're not new, they're used. And they weren't having it. So I ended up putting on one of the crusty old tires that had been sitting on the car for a few years. And someone gave me a spare, one of their spare tires to put on the rear. I went out for practice. I did my best to seat the rings as best and quickly as I could. And qualifying comes, and it did not go well. I qualified 11th out of 14 cars, I believe. So near the back, but that put us outside front row for the start of the race. And after qualifying, a couple of guys showed up to give me a hand, and we bled the brakes. There's quite a bit of air in the system, front and rear, and some kind of rusty brown looking fluid in the front still that was coming out, but there was no more air. So we took it out for the heat race. I started at the back and then I got up front and was running on the outside for the lead most of the race. Ended up side by side at the finish line, got second, but I felt a lot more confident about the car. I was feeling good going in the main. Main event comes. I get the lead at lap 11 and I lead the race until lap 40, but the car was getting progressively worse throughout those laps from 11 to 40, and it was just getting looser and looser. And I was trying to adjust the brake proportion valve all the way forwards, but it just felt like only the rears were working. And at lap 50, they stopped on the front stretch to refuel the car and swap tires, I guess, air pressures. I thought you could do adjustments, but I told one of my guys, go get a screwdriver. We're just going to back the rear brakes off because the way the car is now, we have no chance. So he went, grab one, he was under the car, and one of the officials comes and says, hey, no tools on the front stretch. So we had to start at the rear for the second half of the race, and I didn't make up much ground. I was just kind of hanging on, driving around circles, waiting for the race to be over, because the car just wasn't great. It was loose, it was getting worse as the race went on. I ended up finishing 9th, not great, but the car did make it through the race. It did 100 laps. It drove on the trailer at the end of the night. The engine was leaking quite a bit of oil, I think, out of the oil pan. And I'm going to see if I can snug up some bolts and maybe try and eliminate or at least minimize that. I had some fluid leaking out of the power steering pump. I guess you can't run the ATF, you got to run actual power steering fluid. I noticed when they were checking my ride height, the right front of the car is a bit lower than the left front, which is backwards, especially with my weight on the left side when I'm sitting in the car. So I'm thinking the right front spring isn't kind of set in there properly, so I'm going to pull that side apart and see if I can get it to sit where it's supposed to be. So I got a new master cylinder I'm getting ready to put in. The one that's in there is just pretty rusty, especially like in the inside lip around the edge and everything, and it could be just throwing contaminants in there. So the plan is we're gonna put a new master cylinder on, put some high temp brake fluid in there, flush the system out again, fix that right front spring, and maybe we'll try some different wheel offsets or play with some setup finally. I didn't even check the toe, so it's gotta just get it out there and see what happens. So now I got a bit of time. I'm gonna do a couple things and we'll try it again. See ya.